and welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions, the fortnightly podcast that brings you dark tales, both old and new, performed by your humble narrator, Kristin Holland. This episode, we are delighted to be sharing some subterranean nightmare fuel, courtesy of Ellis Hastings. Ready to descend, gentle listener? Good. Nocturnal Transmissions is proud to present The Knocking on the Walls by Ellis Hastings. It was when the walls blurred together that the realization he had made a wrong turn at the fork miles back dawned on Christian Larson. For the last 3 hours, Christian had plunged into the belly of Utah's most challenging cavern system, the Infinite Caverns, navigating through a maze of 1,000,000 turns with just his headlight for illumination, and squeezing himself through a dozen confined spaces. His moss and sweat-stained V-neck clung tightly to his chest, rising and falling in rhythm with his breaths. A massive passageway had stood before Christian, ushering him into the darkest recess of the cave, beyond the range of his headlight. As he'd stepped forward to enter oblivion, the opening diverged in two. One of the pathways would come out at the source of the Virgin River. The other, Christian didn't want to think about what the other would lead to. He had thought about backtracking to the entrance, but remembered he had foolishly, in hindsight, disconnected the rope from its anchor after rappelling into the cavern to save himself from having to walk back to the start after reaching the exit. Christian tried to remember if anyone in the Cave Divers of Zion Facebook group had mentioned a fork this deep into the cavern. He withdrew the journal from his pack and read through the notes he had taken from the so-called experts in the group. As expected, there was nothing about the alternate paths before him. Shit! Christian said. His voice had bounced through the chamber before coming back to him from 100 directions at once. He corralled his anxious thoughts before they could snowball into an avalanche of panic. The turn was unexpected, but he still had a 50% chance of choosing the right path, and his intuition, a spelunker's most valuable asset, told him to go right. He followed the urge. The passage was oddly straight. The path felt more like a hallway made of stone than a cavern to Christian. Caverns were never this straight for this long. After 30 minutes, the path split down the middle once more. He swore in frustration. He was convinced that everyone in the group who claimed to have navigated through infinite caverns was full of shit, because surely one of the 50 cavers who had supposedly done it in the last year would have said something about the double fork. This now reduced his chances of choosing the correct path from 50-50 to 1 in 4. To make matters worse, Christian's headlight flickered, and when he took it off to check the battery, it told him they only had 19% left. Fucking Amazon, he muttered. Christian purchased the headlight the day before the trip. The overwhelmingly positive reviews claimed the batteries lasted at least 12 hours. been in the cavern for only a fraction of that time. Doing some quick mental math, Kristin calculated that he probably realistically had about another 45 minutes on the headlight. He also had the flashlight on his phone. However, with his phone also below 50%, it only gave him an additional hour if he was lucky. His intuition wasn't favoring either path, so this time he had to put his trust in Lady Luck. 1 in 4. He drew a deep breath and went left. Roughly 2 hours had passed since Kristin took the path on the left. The headlight had defied all expectations and was still hanging on, albeit at 5%. The cavern narrowed and compressed inwards, as if it were about to implode. A mountain range of stalactites hung down, dripping warm droplets of water on him as he ventured deeper into the abyss. The air thickened into a blanket of musk, every breath demanding intense focus to avoid panicking. Kristin's mind entered a state of anxious meditation. Like the diverging paths he'd taken, his consciousness split in two. His head felt foggy, his vision distant. It was almost as if the real him were sitting behind a glass screen in his brain, looking through his eyes. The brown and orange walls melted together. Every new compartment of the cavern was different, yet nearly identical. Turn after turn, brownish orange wall after brownish orange wall, with just a hint of variation. One room had a murky puddle in the corner, draining through a crack in the ground while being refilled by the dripping stalactites above. Another room had a pair of stalagmites reaching upwards towards the infinite blackness, while a pair of stalactites hung overhead. This room resembled vampire fangs to Kristin. After squeezing through what felt like 1,000 rooms, Kristin stopped. His mouth was dry, and when he swallowed, he felt sandpaper in his throat. He sat on the cave floor and removed his pack. The flesh on his shoulders stung, rubbed raw from the constant friction of his loose-fitting pack. Kristin checked the battery on his headlight. 1% remaining. No. He exhaled. Just need a quick rest. Hands shaking with fatigue, Kristin opened his pack and rummaged through a mountain of empty plastic bottles until he found what remained of his water supply. Half gone. Like fucking everything. He unscrewed the cap and practically inhaled the remainder. Rationing was for people who were dying, Kristin told himself, and he was not dying. He forced himself to believe he was just another hour from the exit. Using the wall behind him as support, Kristin lumbered to his feet and trekked forward. The next room was a black hole. His headlight arched 20 feet forward in a cone of light, but revealed nothing except for more darkness beyond its range. This must be how the edge of the universe looks. Kristin stumbled forward, more cave materializing around him as if he were a painter adding to a canvas, the endless void pulling him onwards. His mind spun. He picked up his pace until he was nearly jogging. Still, the end of the room remained blanketed behind the sea of black. If his headlight died in a room this deep, he would be in trouble. Although his phone had a flashlight, its range was only a few feet. Kristin almost ran face first into granite when the wall finally appeared. He threw his arms out to stop himself from kissing rock. The stone was smooth and cool against his hands. It was refreshing. He turned to his right, searching for the opening to the next room of the cavern, when he was confronted by another barren wall. The same sight greeted him on the opposite side. After half an hour of the path, Kristin was at a dead end. Now he would have to backtrack through the abyss on likely only another 10 minutes of battery. His head spun. There's not enough time to get all the way back to the second fork and follow it to the exit. Shit, that may not even be the right... Stop! What will Mom think? Calm down! Kristin took a deep, shaky breath. At this point, he wasn't sure if his irregular breathing was a result of exhaustion, fear, or a combination of the two. Frustrated, but pushing the intrusive thoughts to the back of his mind, Kristin began retracing his steps. That was when the battery in his headlight died, casting him into the abyss. Fuck! His voice almost sounded like it didn't come from him. The echo in the darkness was disorienting. Kristin fished his phone out of his pocket and pulled up the lock screen, his cat's scrunchy gray face floating in the darkness, and turned on the flashlight. He had 35% of battery on his phone. No more than an hour and a half of life remaining. I'd better get going. Kristin approached the entrance only to find it had vanished and was replaced by smooth, unmarked granite. I must have gotten turned around. Kristin turned to the right and saw a barrier. He turned again and saw the second and third barriers. After making a 360, his heart plunged into his stomach. Before him, almost tauntingly, was the fourth wall of stone. This can't be. His eyes slowly scanned the walls, assessing every groove and crack all the way to where the top dissolved into darkness. He was boxed in. What happened? Did part of the ceiling collapse and cover the exit? Kristin rushed to where he had entered from and threw himself into the spot his mind told him was where the opening had been. He hoped to be able to generate enough force to remove the blockage. Instead, all that moved was Kristin. He bounced shoulder first off the wall and landed spread eagle on the ground. His phone flew from his grasp, its beam of light dancing across the cavern floor. Groaning, he sat up, tendons decrying his erratic action by electrifying him with a shockwave of pins and needles. He grabbed his phone, screen cracked down the middle, and retrained its light on the wall. Probably not the smartest idea. This is just the dehydration and claustrophobia fucking with my mind. Kristin tried to think logically. The path he entered from was obviously somewhere. The space had 4 walls, essentially like a room. He studied the wall in front of him, from top to bottom. Barren. No opening, not even a sliver. Okay, it must be one of the other 3. He rechecked the left. Like the first, it too was blank, apart from a million tiny cracks spiderwebbed across the surface. Kristin placed his hands firmly against the cracks and pushed, praying the wall would disintegrate and reveal a hidden path. Nothing budged. 2 to go. Kristin closed his eyes and turned around slowly, as to not further disorient himself. When he reopened them, he saw a canvas of 1,000 shades of moss. All right, it is door number 4. It wasn't. All 4 sides of the room were devoid of an exit. Kristin threw his hands to his face and aggressively rubbed his eyes, as if he simply had to readjust them. However, when he reassessed the room for the 100th time, nothing had changed. The same sight greeted him. Moss, tiny cracks, and a shitload of rock. A sense of fury overtook him. Sucking in a lungful of humid, musky air, he swore at the top of his lungs. Kristin's head grew light, becoming a balloon about to detach from his shoulders. He stumbled backwards into a wall, his legs going out from under him. 10 minutes of silence passed, leaving Kristin in solitude from even his own thoughts. He laid his face in his hands and wept. Nothing made sense. None of this was possible. He glanced at his phone, his lifeline. A quarter of battery was all that remained until he was banished into permanent darkness. I'm gonna fucking die here, he said in broken sobs. He tried to imagine the heartbreak that would befall his mother when he transformed from human being into another statistic of young people who vanished in national parks. Her only son, who, while unlikely to ever be found and confirmed dead, was still, obviously, gone. The thought was too much to bear. She had insisted he not go to infinite caverns. They're called that for a reason, Kristin. She would remind him every day. He could almost hear her nagging him from 2,000 miles away. His mind shifted to his friends, who, while less persistent in their disagreement than his mother, were still anxious about the idea of him going alone. How would they react to never seeing him again? After a period of mourning and a string of rest in peace bro Facebook posts, they'd likely tell themselves things like, well, at least he died doing what he loved. Yet, although that was technically true, Kristin would rather not die in the first place. The fact he would go from a life full of adventure and excitement to nothing was incomprehensible. That void of imagination, blank like the walls in his tomb, was what scared him the most. All he could do now was sit here and wait to die. Kristin typed his last words on his phone and turned it off, conserving the battery so someone can know what happened to him, at least if his body was ever found. Now, he sat in perfect silence, in the void, only aware of his own existence by the cold kiss of the wall against his back. The human brain is a delicate thing. It's an amazing yet fragile universe within each individual's skull. Periods of extreme stress often cause it to go haywire. The first thing to give in a breaking mind is its perception of time. Time itself is manifested like a cosmic dough, holding everything under its control like individual grains within its folds. When the mind declines, this dough is stretched across the table of the universe, elongating time, turning minutes into hours. Around 5 hours had passed when Kristin heard a voice. Hello? It spoke. It was a man's voice, soft and worn with age. Kristin's breath stopped. I'm losing my... His thoughts were cut off by the return of the voice. Must be losing my mind, the man said.
Is there someone in here with me? I heard someone breathing. I sure as hell hope you're human.
Kristin opened his mouth to speak, his words catching in his throat. It felt as if he hadn't spoken in years. All he could manage were a few.
Yeah, I'm lost.
When the man's voice failed to respond, Kristin's flicker of hope was extinguished. He was a drowning man who had missed the life preserver that had been tossed to him.
Hello?
Kristin called out.
Are you still there? I am. I was just thinking.
The man's voice hung in the air.
You're in that box room, aren't you? I don't know, I think so. I just came in and the exit vanished. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like you got disoriented and lost track of time and wandered into the box room. What's your name? Christian? Nice to meet you, Christian. I'm Ellis. Do you have a flashlight?
Kristin fumbled for his phone. He found it in the darkness and held the button on the side until the bold white letters that spelled Samsung materialized before him. The letters were sharp and cut into the back of his skull. Kristin groaned and blinked several times to readjust his eyes.
I have my phone,
he said. When the phone finished rebooting, Kristin turned on the flashlight. 23% remained.
Good. You're gonna need that to find the opening in the wall.
There isn't one. I've already searched all of them, top to bottom.
That's odd. You're in the room with the moss-covered wall, right? Kinda looks like a Monet painting.
Kristin shined his flashlight to the left, moving forward until the mossy wall appeared before him.
I am. Good. Reach out and touch it.
Kristin tucked his phone in his pocket and placed both hands on the wall. It was the border between hard and soft.
All right,
he said.
Now what? Now run your hands off until you find an opening that's shaped like a pizza. It's hard to see, but you can feel it. It's about 7 feet off the ground. You should be able to reach it with your arms fully extended.
A sigh of relief escaped his lips when his hands met the opening Atlas was talking about. Before he could say he found it, Atlas continued.
You're going to have to pull yourself into that opening. It may be a squeeze, depending on how big you are, but as long as you know the 250, you should be able to get yourself to the other side. Being a caver, I'm sure you're not afraid of confined spaces. If you are, this is going to be your worst nightmare. The tunnel's the length of a football field, and it gets tighter at the halfway mark. But you will make it through. Are you ready?
Christian stood on his tiptoes, trying to catch a glimpse of the other side as he shined his flashlight through the opening.
I think so. You better know so. If you hesitate, your body won't let you do it. Just go.
All right. I can do this. Christian took a deep breath and hoisted himself into the tunnel. The ceiling came down on Christian once he reached what he believed was the midpoint Atlas had warned him about. An already tight squeeze became a boa constrictor swallowing its prey. Tiny stalactites lined the ceiling like teeth, biting deeper into his back with every inch of progress. Christian stopped. His back grew warm with blood.
Christian, you all right in there?
With every inhale, the fangs cut deeper into the flesh. Christian gritted his teeth and tried to push forward. His body didn't budge. The stalactites had become nails, pinning him to this cross of stone. And the more frantically he squirmed, the stronger they became.
Christian, what's going on? Tell me where you're at.
Fucking sharp rocks! Christian gasped. The blades pressed deeper. Stuck! He heard Atlas sigh.
You shouldn't have stopped. You lost momentum. But you're not stopped.
His chest burned from a lack of oxygen, exacerbated by his growing panic. Christian kicked his feet out, trying to use any solid surface as a springboard. Still, he didn't budge. He couldn't breathe. The fire branched outwards from his chest to his arms and up his throat, pressure mounting like an overfilled tire about to explode.
Christian? Listen to me.
Atlas's tone softened. Christian's panic was palpable, even from 1,000 yards away.
You're not stuck. Where are your hands?
What?
In relation to the rest of your body, where are your hands?
There. He took another deep breath and felt more blood ooze from his back. Under my chest!
Okay, so like a military crawl, all right? What you need to do is get your hands above your head like you're diving into a swimming pool. This will narrow your shoulders and give you more room.
Christian grimaced as he forced his hands from his chest up to his chin. Twinges of pain reverberated in his shoulders as the tendons strained from the pressure. Finally, his hands popped over his head like a cork from a champagne bottle. The walls widened slightly, and the knives withdrew from his back.
Hey, man, where are you?
Christian shined the light around the room after emerging from the crevasse. 3 passageways sat before him.
You sounded close. Close is something I'm definitely not,
Atlas said.
These walls are long and many are hollow. I can hit a wall 1,000 feet away and the sound will travel through the entire system. See?
A single knock popped up behind Christian's head, making him flinch.
I'm actually about,
Atlas paused.
I'd say 30 minutes from you. 20 if you hustle.
Are you at the exit?
Yes. Well, not technically. I'm almost at the end. I'm following a subterranean river called the Lewis Stream. It's a tributary for the Virgin River. I see light up ahead. How much battery do you have left?
Christian checked his phone. The cracks had spread, encompassing the entire screen. Shit! I only have 7%!
That's not good. Like I said, you're 20 minutes from me if you hustle. Your phone might die before you get to where I'm at, but don't panic. Once you make it to the street, you won't need sight. You just follow the water to the end. Do you see the triple fork?
Yes.
You're going to take the path on the right. The path curves to the left and down for a while, then it goes up and to the right. It feels like a giant letter S. The stream's at the other side, so you're close. But it's a long path, so you'll have to run if you can. Watch your head.
Christian's phone battery was at 3% when he emerged around the sweeping edge of the tunnel and stepped into tepid water up to his knees. The dying light reflected off the surface of the water, a colony of crooked mushrooms lining the bank.
Atlas? Yes?
I think I found the stream.
There's water, that's it. You just have to follow it for another 10 minutes. I'm at the exit of the cave now, waiting for you. I see the Virgin River and the town. I think it's Santa Morelos. You're almost there, Kristin. Just follow my knocks.
Knock. Christian pushed forward, practically running through the thick water. It dawned on him for the first time that he would have died in what Atlas called the box room. He couldn't wait to give his savior a hug and buy him a beer. Knock. Knock. The rhythmic knocking was poetry to his ears. With every knock and every pull of water below his knees, Christian was 1 foot closer to salvation. As soon as he got out, he was going to retire from spelunking. Knock. Christian's mind turned to his loved ones back in Atlanta. He was going to tell his friends that dying, doing what you love, is overrated. He would tell his mother she was right. Fuck infinite caverns. For the first time in his life, Christian couldn't wait to hear his mom tell him, "I told you so." His phone was on 1%, but it didn't matter if the light went out. As Atlas said, he just had to follow the water and his knocks. After 10 minutes had passed, the light at the end of the tunnel Atlas told him about hadn't appeared. And he hadn't heard from his guide since he reached the mouth of the stream. Even the knocking had ceased.
Atlas?
No response. Did he leave? Christian tried again, louder.
Atlas!
Silence. Disappointment seeped into him. Christian hoped Atlas was waiting on him like he said. He was looking forward to meeting him and thanking him for saving his life. Finally, the knocking returned. But this time it sounded different, like knuckles being dragged across a floor. Knock, knock.
Atlas?
Knock, knock.
It's been 10 minutes and I still don't see the end of the tunnel. Are you waiting for me?
Knock, knock, knock.
Atlas? Are you all right?
Silence. Kristin picked up his pace, breaking into as much of a run as he could manage against the resistance of the water. 3 minutes without a knock passed. The stream suddenly dried up, and a wall appeared. Kristin bounced off the stone, catching his phone as he landed shoulder first onto the bank of the stream.
What the fuck?
He pulled himself to his feet and surveyed his surroundings. He couldn't have gotten lost. The stream only went one way, with no divergences. The remaining light from his valiant phone revealed an opening in the wall on his left. That's not straight ahead.
Atlas? Is the exit to the left of the stream?
No answer was returned. Kristin didn't even know why he tried. Atlas must have figured it was so obvious that there was no use in waiting. But why hadn't he answered back when I called for him? Kristin's attention was caught by a single knock from inside the crevasse.
Atlas?
Kristin shined his light inside and could see what looked like another room. The crevasse was tight, but he was able to force himself through. The new room was cramped, about half the size of Buck's room. It was empty, apart from a human skeleton slumped against the wall his light fell upon. Kristin jumped back and lost his footing. He slipped, his phone flying from his hand and landing by the skeleton. The light illuminated the skeleton like a child holding a flashlight beneath its face while telling a ghost story. Kristin crawled forward cautiously and quickly grabbed his phone, just in case the skeleton tried to reach out and grab it. Shit! The light bounced off the skeleton as Kristin's hand shook. It had been here a while. Its bones were stained yellow, and cobwebs connected the ribs. A single spider crawled from a cracked eye socket. The left side of the skull was caved in against the wall. It looked like the owner had dived headfirst into the wall from a diving board 20 feet high. Kristin scanned the room for an exit, but the only opening was the entrance. He retrained the light on the skeleton. A mutilated satchel and shattered lantern sat beside it. A battered book with a faded blue cover rested upon what remained of the leather. It was old. Kristin carefully picked up the book and blew away the dust. On the cover, in faint gold letters, it read, "The Atlas of the North American Cavern Systems." Inside the atlas was a note. John Kirby, born 17th of January, 1920. Lost in endless caverns. April 3rd, 1944. Damn maps were unintelligible. I took too many wrong turns and couldn't find the way out. When I had given up on salvation, a voice spoke to me. I thought it was an angel. It claimed to be a fellow adventurer who had reached the end of the caverns. It was a lie. The voice led me deeper and deeper into the darkest recesses of the caverns before I discovered its true form. It was unspeakable. Evil incarnate. The darkness itself physically manifested before me. That thing chased me into this room, my last place of refuge, and now lurks just beyond reach of my lantern. The light keeps it at bay. I only fear what will become of me when it runs out of oil. Martha, my love, I just pray you forever hold me in your heart. Forever yours, John. The atlas fell from Christian's grasp. He heard movement behind him. He trained the light on the crevasse at the entrance.
Atlas? This is... I don't know what the fuck this is.
A dark form, just beyond the threshold of his light, shifted. Waiting. The air grew thick. An impatient knocking sounded from multiple directions, running from the base of the abyss beyond the room to 15 feet above. Knock, 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 knock. The light went out. The knocking on the walls by Ellis Hastings. Ellis resides on the outskirts of Atlanta with his wife and Bengal cat, Bandit. He has had several stories published in Schlock, as well as others in Big Bridge and Aphotic Realm. He is currently editing his first short story collection, and has a novel yet to be published. All right, now let's see what's going on with our Patreon subscribers. Oh, look at this. Our beloved acolyte Joanne Brooker has metamorphosed into a magnificent night-winged cohort. Oh, Joanne, between your thoughtful, always welcome suggestions and your ongoing Patreon subscribership, you really do too much for us. Thank you. Now, our acolyte ranks may be somewhat diminished by your recent ascension, Joanne, but worry not. 3 new devotees have stepped into your shoes, as it were, and donned the mantle of acolyte. Sterling Elijah, Caleb Santos, and John Beck. Welcome, Sterling, Caleb, and John. Your interest and generosity feeds the dark flame around which we grim souls all gather each fortnight, and Nocturnal Transmissions thanks you. And on that note, we thank you, one and all, subscribed or not, for lending us your ears once again. This transmission was brought to you with the generous assistance of our aforementioned Patreon subscribers. A particular thank you goes out to our esteemed cohorts: Boole Swivney, Kel Wielden, Amanda Moore, Evan Dooley, Thomas Funderburg, Fabled Words, Alex Brewers, Johnny Kelly, Eugene Petrie, Wayne Prince, Azaran Warrens, shh, just listen, JB, Mudkip, Robert Troy Hampton Peterson, Wildy, Rachel Brown, The Traveller, Sam Hankins, Brett Allen, Tippy Polo, Arnie Frank, Daniel Clanton, Alicia Townsend, Daniel Kamiankowski, Adam, and Joanne Brooker. All non-public domain stories are featured with the permission of the authors. All voices and production are concocted by Kristin Holland. Until next time, as always, watch the skies, fear the dark, and don't trust anyone, especially yourself. Good night, gentle listener.
Close your eyes in sleep, in sleep. Good night, good night. I'll see you in the morning. Good night, good night. I'll see you with a dawning. Sunshine will change the night today. Shadows will all be chased away. It's not goodbye, just time to say good night. Oh